Someone's in the back seat!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be celebrating 25 years of Urban Legend. Yes, 25 years since this movie came out back in September 1998. Now this is a kind of a new segment for me in an anniversary edition, and I will be doing more anniversary editions throughout the months. I'll maybe try and limit it to one a month depending on which movies come out when, but Urban Legend was the one from September 1998, so it's been 25 years. And in this segment, what I want to do is talk about the movie, of course, but because I've already done reviews for most of these movies, I want to talk about my memories of the movies, my experiences of the first time I saw the movies, how I came about knowing about the movies, and I also want to share, or I want you to share, your experiences and memories for them as well. Now, I couldn't do it for the Halloween H2O segment because that was my first episode and I didn't really know where I wanted to go with them. But from now on, I want to try and get some of your memories featured in this. So what I will do is I will ask you on social media what your memories are, and I will choose a couple of them. Obviously I can't read them all, but I'll choose a couple of them to read at the end and just share your memories on this video as well. So I've already done it for this one. I've already got a couple of comments for Urban Legends memories, which I will read out at the very end, so stay tuned to see if yours is featured at the end. But hopefully more people will get involved as the episodes go by, and hopefully the episodes also evolve as well. Maybe they're going to be a little bit longer in the future. I've absolutely no idea, but I just want to relax. This isn't going to be scripted, so I know that a lot of my review videos are scripted. They have to be, but although they do feel natural, I think this setting will feel a little bit more natural because things might come to my mind as I'm talking, and I'll keep it in there as best as I can just to keep it smooth and natural feeling. But with all that out the way, guys, let's talk about Urban Legend. Now, in the UK, I was obviously still 15 at the time, so I couldn't go and see 18 rated movies at the cinema. We had 15 and 18 in the UK. You guys obviously had PG-13 and rated R, etc., and US and Canada and stuff. So we're slightly different. So I couldn't go and see these movies back in the day in the UK because we were very strict at the cinemas. So I couldn't be taken in by an adult, for example, because you just weren't allowed. You can do that in 12s and 12As. We've got 12A now, where you can be accompanied by an adult if you're under 12, but you can't do it with 15 at the moment, and you obviously can't do it with 18s. Urban Legend being an 18, it was a no-go area for me. But even if it was a go area, I had no idea this movie came out, and in fact, I don't even know if it had a major run in the UK in the cinemas. The first time I heard of this movie was on VHS, and my introduction to Urban Legend was in two areas. One was the Total Film magazine that I used to buy every month, and it had a rating. I had a review in the magazine, and when I was reading the synopsis, I think it only got a 2-star or something, but when I was reading the synopsis, I was like, this sounds a lot like a really good teen slasher movie. Back in the late 90s, that's what we had back then. So yeah, it sounded like something that was really my cup of tea. But I also used to rent VHSs from Blockbuster and Global Video, and on most of the rental copies that I got a hold of, you get trailers at the beginning, like Armageddon was always on there, Halloween H2O, The Faculty. But one film that started to creep on there and the trailers was Urban Legend. So that was the only way you could see trailers back then. You didn't have the internet, or most people didn't have the internet back in 98, 99. Now, this movie didn't reach us until 1999. I don't even think it reached us until 99 for theatrical purposes, but I didn't get to see this or hear about it until 1999. So I was still 15 at the time, wasn't quite 16 yet because my birthday isn't until December. So I was 15 years old, and I saw the trailer on all these VHSs, and I thought, this is one of the ones I have to get as well, similar to Halloween H2O. So I would go to my local video store, ask them if they've got it on X Rental. I didn't rent this movie, and I think it's because I kind of I was at the age now where I didn't really go to the video store with my parents anymore. I was independent. I wanted to go myself. But because I went myself, I couldn't purchase 18 rated movies or even rent 18 rated movies. I was 15, so I could rent 15s, but I couldn't rent 18s. So I couldn't rent the movie. So I had to wait until it was on X Rental. So eventually I got it on X Rental when my mum bought it for me because I just couldn't get it myself. And that was the first time I seen the movie. But before I saw the movie, I think I loved it before I saw it because of the trailers. And similar to Halloween H2O, I would go into the video stores and see if they've got the X rentals available. But also, they were offering out posters because that's what they've done in video stores. And they handed me a couple of posters. And one of those posters was Urban Legend. Now, I don't have that poster anymore. I do have it on Blu-ray with the poster inside. But the original video store poster is what I miss, and I got that and I put it up on my wall, and I instantly loved it before I saw the movie. When I saw the movie though, I fell in love with it again because the movie was great for me at the time. I will discuss how I feel about it now later on in the video, but at the time when I first saw it, I was completely blown away by it because teen slasher movies were my thing back then. So if I watched a teen slasher movie that wasn't great, I still gave it the benefit of the doubt because I just loved that genre, that sub-genre. Now, when I was a teenager, I was dabbling in movie reviews when I was young. We didn't have the internet. I didn't have a mobile phone or a camera or anything that I could get a hold of. So all we could do was write. And that's what I done. I just wrote my reviews on pieces of paper. And I had this little book. We called it a jotter in Scotland. I had this little jotter, and I would put my weekly top 10 movies that I would rent or watch in that week. And it was similar to the Blockbuster Video magazine. I don't know if you remember those. You would get a free magazine every couple of weeks or every week, and it would put the top 10 movies to rent that week. I done something similar, but just my top 10 movies of that week. And Urban Legend would get on that list all the time. I still have the jotter. I can't find it from the move that I made. Hopefully I find it eventually, but I'll look through it and you'll see Urban Legend was on the top 10 for a good few months. And that was important to me when I was a kid because that's all I had and I couldn't share it with anyone, which was a shame because nobody in my family loved movies as much as I did. My little brother did a little bit, but not as much as me. And none of my friends were interested in movies, especially horror movies. So there was nobody I could talk to about not just Urban Legend, but anything to do with movies. And it was really disheartening because here in Scotland, and it's still the same to this day, there's not a lot of love or interest as much as I am interested in film. So it's hard, or it was hard for me to discuss films with people back in the day. And it was frustrating. And I think that's one of the reasons I obviously created a YouTube channel, because I get to tell people about my experiences with movies. And I think this segment, the anniversary edition segment, is going to be great for me to share the stuff that I've done myself, basically, that I couldn't tell anyone else about. It's not that I couldn't, just nobody was interested. So at least now I've got an audience and I can just share my experiences with you, and hopefully you can do the same with me, whether you've done it before I've done the video or whether you do it after the fact. I just want to know what your memories are with certain movies, and Urban Legend is definitely one of them, because Urban Legend to me is a nostalgic movie now. It might not be the best film ever made, but to me, because I watched it in my true prime of teen slasher movies back in the late 90s, Urban Legend, and even today, stands head and shoulders above most of the movies in that subgenre of the teen slashers. Now, when we look at the movie, there are flaws in this film. It's not the best teen slasher. I know one of the biggest negatives that this movie has is it's just a Scream ripoff, and it's not. It's not a Scream ripoff at all. Yes, it's got the core values of a teen slasher movie, but that's what it is. It's a teen slasher, so it's going to look a little bit like Scream because it's basing the model off the success of Scream. So any movie that comes out after Scream is going to be compared to Scream. That's natural, but I wouldn't call it a Scream ripoff, because I think one thing that Urban Legend has that a lot of the other movies that are deemed Scream ripoffs is it's unique in its own right. It's similar to a movie like It Follows. Obviously, it's not the same storyline, but It Follows is a horror movie that stands on its own, and it's the same with Urban Legend in a similar fashion, where it is a teen slasher, but it's got a story within it that is quite unique, and that is the killer is killing people in the style of urban legends. Now that's completely different to what you get with the normal stock and slash teen slasher. Yes, it's got a killer in it that's not revealed to the end, so it's a whodunit movie, but that's interesting, and it happened quite a lot in the late 90s. So yes, it takes some elements from Scream, but it does its own thing, unlike some other teen slasher movies from back in the day. So story-wise, I think it's very strong, one of the strongest in that teen slasher subgenre. You've got the actors in it that are fantastic. Michael Rosenbaum, who I absolutely love, Jared Leto, Alicia Witt. You've even got Danielle Harris. You've got Robert Englund. Who else is in it? Joshua Jackson. Now, that's one thing I want to talk about. Joshua Jackson. One of the biggest pulls for me for Urban Legend was Joshua Jackson. Now, being my age, and I know a lot of you who watch this channel will agree with me here, I grew up in the age of the Mighty Ducks trilogy. That was one of the greatest, and it still is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. And I wanted to be Charlie Conway, played by Joshua Jackson. And anytime I watched a Mighty Ducks movie, especially D3, the Mighty Ducks, the third one, they're all becoming teenagers now. They're a little bit older than me, and I wanted to be like them. I would go out in the streets with my hockey stick, my rollerblades, my Mighty Ducks top with Conway on the back, and I just wanted to be Charlie Conway. But even still, the actors themselves were great. Any movies that those actors were in, I was interested in seeing, whether they were good or bad. And because I loved the teen slashers, I found out that Joshua Jackson, Charlie Conway from the Mighty Ducks,
The Mighty Duckman, I swear to God,
was going to be in a teen slasher movie. And I was instantly sold. So the cast for me in Urban Legend was absolutely on point. And when you look back in some of the teen slashers from back in the late 90s, some of them have actors in it that you've just never seen again. But movies like Halloween H2O, The Faculty, Urban Legend, they've all got really good actors in it that are still acting today. Not only acting today, but Oscar-winning actors as well, like Jared Leto. So the cast in this movie was absolutely on point. Like a lot of whodunit movies, you wonder who the killer is, and a lot of the time you can kind of guess who the killer is. And I'm glad to say that Urban Legend was one of the only teen slashers that I had absolutely no idea who the killer was at the end. And when the killer was revealed to be Brenda, played by Rebecca Gayheart, who was absolutely phenomenal in her role, I was gobsmacked, because at first I thought it has to be a man, very sexist I know. And when it was Brenda, I was like, no, it can't be Brenda, surely. But when she started speaking to Natalie, giving her reasons behind what she was doing and why she was doing it and going all nutty, I said to myself, I believe that she would be the killer.
I guess you could say I'm a little nutty.
All the way through this movie, I was expecting it to be a man, but when Brenda was revealed and she was crazy, she genuinely frightened me. I thought, she is amazing. She was really good throughout the movie. She's very beautiful all the way through the film, but when she became this crazy nut job, I was like, wow, I think I'm in love.
When he wakes up, he's in a bathtub full of ice and he realizes that one of his kidneys has been removed.
We obviously have to talk about that opening scene. We've got Brad Dourif in it as well, Natasha Gregson Wagner as well. So two big stars at the beginning of the film, similar to Scream, of course. You've got an opening kill, but that opening kill, again, was one of the best openings to any teen slasher movie. Probably the best. No, I won't say the best. One of the best openings to any teen slasher movie. Yes, I think that the opening scene and the opening Urban Legend was probably the best and the strongest because of the build-up. And it all kind of went downhill from there in terms of the kills. But I still think you have to open up with a massive big opening. Look at Scream. Casey Becker, played by Drew Barrymore, her opening kill was probably the best in Scream. So you can't really look at Urban Legend's opening as a negative for the whole movie if you're not going to do the same with Scream. So yes, you have to have a strong opening, and what better opening to have than the killer in the back seat. We all know that Urban Legend, even if you don't really know about Urban Legends, you always know to check the back seat, and that's a kind of slight Urban Legend that everybody tells you about. So it's a very generic but popular Urban Legend that they use, and I just love the style of that opening scene, the way the rain comes down, she stops at a gas station, you've got her name is Michelle Mancini. I can't remember what Brad Dourif's name was in it again. It'll come to me. Michael McDonough. His scene in it was great. The stuttering that he's doing, like I'm doing just now. So yeah, that scene was absolutely amazing. But what helped that scene and the entire movie was the score by Christopher Young. Is it Christopher Young? That score was amazing. I absolutely loved the score throughout. It just set that mood, and it set it apart from other teen slasher movies because, yes, you do get some music in it that teens listen to, but it was mostly more about the score rather than the soundtrack, so I really loved that. Speaking of Brad Dourif, you've obviously got other horror icons in it, Brad Dourif being Chucky, you've got Robert Englund, who was Freddy Krueger, you've even got Danielle Harris in it, who's Jamie Lloyd from Halloween 4 and 5, so you've got really good horror alum in there mixed with these up-and-coming teen actors, or adult actors as they would be, so the cast itself was great, the characters were fantastic, I loved everyone in the film, nobody was bad, even Reese, who was the security guard, the campus security guard. Absolutely amazing. I loved every character in this film, and that's why anytime someone dies, I was disappointed. And even when Brenda was the killer, I was semi-disappointed to find out she was the killer because I loved her so much, because I wanted her to survive in a good way rather than a bad way, but luckily she did survive. Looking back on Urban Legend after 25 years, I can safely say it's still one of the best teen slasher movies of all time to me. That might be an overstatement, it might be an understatement, you never know, but after 25 years, a lot of films come and go, nobody watches them again, but I think Urban Legend is becoming this cult phenomenon now. I think more people are warming to it who weren't very warm to it in the first place. They're beginning to like it. I'm loving it even more than I did before. I absolutely adored it back in 98, 99. And I love it even more now. I love it more today. I've got it on VHS, I've got it on DVD, I've got it on Blu-ray. Hopefully I'll buy it on 4K at some point. I just love the movie so much. But I really want to know from you guys your experiences with Urban Legend. How did you come about finding out about Urban Legend? Because it wasn't so popular, at least it wasn't as popular as Scream at the time. It did make a good amount of money at the box office, so I'm sure more Americans than Canadians would know more about Urban Legend than people in the UK did, like me. Wasn't popular in the UK here. A lot of people haven't even seen the movie or even heard of it in the UK. So this is mostly a question for you guys who have obviously seen the movie. What is your experiences? What is your memories? But before you go, and I did promise, I've got a couple of memories that I want to share with you with people on social media who have answered my questions. So I'm going to go into that just now and I can share their memories as well. So I'm going to face my computer. The first person that I've got here is Dude08VQ, so thanks for sending in your memory. You've said, when first seeing this in the cinema, already jealous, when first seeing this in the cinema, I remember liking the film, but having some issues with the finale and finding a moment or two a little dull. However, I loved the cast and ideas throughout, and had no idea that Brad Dourif was in it until the opening credits. I mostly went to see the film out of my love of the genre, and because I knew Robert Englund would have a part in it. Favourite memories were the opening scene at the gas station with Brad, Robert Englund's scenes, and the chase scene with Tara Reid. I also loved Loretta Devine, that was Reese, and found her to be one of the film's best aspects. Great poster too. Couldn't agree more with most of your points there. Yes, the scenes featuring Robert Englund were great. The pop rock scene in the classroom, or the big open classroom. Brad Dourif, I didn't know Brad Dourif was in it either until I saw him in the opening scene. As soon as I saw him, I knew exactly who he was. So it was really nice to see him there. I think I've covered most of the things that you've said. The chase scene with Tara Reid was actually really good as well, yeah. The bit where she gets almost hit by the axe when she's running through the campus, she actually nearly got hit by that axe in real life. I was watching the documentary. That was a real axe that they had to use, and that was really Tara Reid standing there. So she nearly got hit by the axe. That's how close to the bone they went back in the late 90s, because they didn't have all the big CGI, the big budgets, etc. They had to use with what they had. But yeah, that was a great chase scene. I loved that chase scene so much. The music in that, the score, I should say, was absolutely amazing there. So thanks a lot, dude, for sharing your memories there. That was a really good memory to share. Another memory we've got from Aaron Lakes. He said, the opening with Chucky yelling someone is in the back seat, and later with my woman, Danielle Harris, playing the goth chick, Freddie as a college professor, the pop rocks tests. It's all classic. Yep, everything that you've said there, Aaron, is the classic parts of this movie. I think a lot of people want to mention their favourite parts of the film, and I think you're all saying similar parts, and with good reasons, because those were also my favourite parts. Tone Ngegni says, one of my favourite movies as a child, same, And someone saying, Andy said, having a female killer blew me away. And that's exactly what I said as well. I wasn't expecting it to be a female killer. And it blew me away. It absolutely blew me away that it was Brenda for a number of reasons. Like I said, I didn't know it was going to be female. And I was at the point when she was revealed as a killer, I was disappointed, not because it was a female. I was disappointed because I wanted Brenda to be one of the good guys. I wanted her to be my final girl. Even though I love Natalie, I just thought Brenda was my final girl because I could resonate with her more. But when she became that nut job, I was like, whoa. Another comment we've got from Levi. He said, the opening scene is intriguing because I never knew about checking the back seat urban legend, and it set the mood for the rest of the film. Yeah, there are some people who don't know about any urban legends, even the backseat killer. And if you're watching that film and finding out that that's an urban legend for the first time, like Levi said, after you've watched the movie, you probably check the back seat of your car at least a few times after the film. So yeah, I think some of the urban legends in it will leave a lasting impact on you, just for superstitious purposes, not for, I'm going to have to check the back seat every time for the rest of my life. It's not like that. You just get that kind of like, oh, I better check the back seat because I just watched the movie. It's like watching Final Destination for the first time and not wanting to go on an aeroplane for a few weeks or a few years after it. It's just natural. I'll read out one last one from Dr. Horror. They've said, I thought it was a unique take on the slasher genre because as a kid, urban legends did tend to freak me out. We had one about people getting their ankles slashed at mall parking lots. I also loved having Robert Englund in the film, which brought some legitimacy. Yep, and that one that you just mentioned about the slashing your ankles was actually in the movie. The Dean in the film got slashed in the parking lot. So that was an urban legend that I didn't know about until I saw the movie, but I know that some people already knew about that urban legend, and I'm sure they know about some of the other ones in the film. But yeah, that was a really horrible one because you can actually feel it, like his Achilles getting slit opened and cut. Oh, it's disgusting. So that's it for my Urban Legend 25th anniversary edition, guys. If you've got anything else to add, like I said, leave your comments down below, leave those memories down below, and we can get talking about it, because there are some memories that somebody would probably mention and I would be like, oh yeah, I used to do that as well, because this is what I done then, that, blah, 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 etc. So it brings back really good memories when we talk about specific movies, Urban Legend being one of them. So leave the comments down below, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!